Hey everyone, my name is Chris Lambert, and on this channel we talk Kanye West. And we are still in Atlanta. You can see the Mercedes logo of Mercedes-Benz Stadium over the shoulder there, shining bright. That's where Kanye is currently, and I imagine still working on the album. We're just a few hours removed from the Atlanta listening party for Donda, and yeah, the album's not out. In short, the album's not out. And we all thought it was going to be out. We were told by Justin LeBoy that the album was finished. We were told with the Sha'Carri Richardson commercial that the album would come out Thursday or in 48 hours. Def Jam also said that it was coming out Friday. And you can see in this picture that I have, this direction here, Strapped has, Def Jam has officially edited their post to 7:23 instead of midnight. They foul for this. And what they're referring to is you can see in the bottom image on the left there, Def Jam said, "The throne is back, Donda out at midnight." And it's a reference to the song Heaven and Hell that was played at the show that had Jay-Z on it, which to anybody in the stadium, we couldn't tell it was Jay-Z, which made it very anticlimactic. Like, it should have been something that the crowd erupted, but because the volume of the speakers was so incredibly loud, we just couldn't tell it was Jay-Z. So the audience was like just anticlimactic as anticlimactic gets, which is a little bit of a shame for Kanye because that should have been just an electric moment. But they said out at midnight, and it's clearly past midnight. It's not out. So they amended their post to 7:23. And the big question is that accurate? Are we going to see the same thing happen with Donda that we saw happen with The Life of Pablo, where it took a few days after the premiere for it to actually drop? Or are we going to see the same thing with Jesus is King, where it took a month? Or are we going to get Yandi'd? Like, that's the big fear everybody has. Like, is it going to be Yandi, or is it going to be done later today? We really don't know. And one of the things that makes it even more difficult is that what people heard on Sunday in Las Vegas isn't what people heard in Atlanta. There were overlaps. Like, I Know God Breathed on This was one that played at both. I think Moon wasn't one that played at both, but South Carolina, I think, was one. And then No Child Left Behind was another. So there were a few songs that were overlaps, but most of the Atlanta track list was completely different than what people heard in Las Vegas. And people were saying that the Las Vegas one had more bars. It was Kanye being a little more introspective and like rapper-like, where Atlanta, it was more Kanye kind of being ambient and artsy and not that much of a focus through a lot of the middle part of the track list, as a lot of the features kind of dominated the space in those moments. So we don't know what Donda really is. Like, are we getting more Las Vegas? Are we getting more Atlanta? Are we getting a combination of the two? What is this album going to look like? And does Kanye know at this point in time? So we'll see which way he leans. Does the stronger reaction in Las Vegas, because the audio was better, I imagine, lead him more to favor the Las Vegas version of the album? And does the lack of reception that he got in Atlanta due to the sound system being so overwhelming, like, I can't overstate how loud it was, like, and how much it distorted what we could hear, like, in terms of nuance, in terms of who was performing. It was really, I mean, Travis still enjoyed it. You're going to see a whole video that we're posting where we dive into it, but it was still alarming in a certain way, just how loud it was. So I don't know, we'll see, but there is more information. As you can see, let's get rid of that image one, to photos of Kanye posting from Theophilus London, Instagram comments. And we're going to get into who London is, but you can see Mike Dean and company hitting an all-nighter. You could bet that. So it sounds very much like a statement of fact that, like, Mike Dean and crew are still back in there working, but I think this is more speculation on London's part. Like, you just know that after this kind of show, like, they would still be working. And London does have a perspective on this, as he was riding with Kanye from kind of 2014 to 2016 before things kind of fell out between them, but I think they've been in contact more recently. Somebody might be able to correct me better on the recent, but he does have experience with a Kanye, like, musical process, you know? Kanye definitely inspired by tonight and still has verses to finish Yeah. And a bunch of new features today just based off the rollout hype. Rick Rubin lending his ear also could be ready by AM, guys, like The Life of Pablo. And that's the thing, as I was saying, like Life of Pablo came out, well, Madison Square Garden was February 11th, and then Life of Pablo actually came out February 14th at like 2:30 a.m. So 3-ish days later, almost 4 days later, but late into the night because they were just constantly working on it. Like Mike Dean was doing live streams, and you just see he's like in the studio still mixing and mastering and getting it right, and they were really going like a lot of hours. So maybe it's the same thing here. They're just gonna work through the night and have something final version ready for everybody in the AM. Who knows? But he goes, and keep in mind he's the only artist who can turn in his album to DSPs. I should know what that is. Digital, I don't know. 1 hour before it's released. When the streaming service companies want it as bad as we do, that's power. And yeah, like people are gonna accommodate Kanye in a way that they wouldn't accommodate most other artists because it is Kanye and he has his track record. So the fact that he may have more of a deadline with this rollout and is just going to work as much as he can up into that deadline, we'll see when it actually does come out. So that's what we have for information. If you want to click away now, you can, because we're just going to get into a little bit more of the biography of London at this point and his relationship to Kanye. So if you are leaving right now or have already left, see ya. Thanks for joining. If you're sticking around, hey, let's get into the other bits and pieces real fast. So as you can see, musically, London and Kanye kind of collaborated in 2014 on London's second album, Vibes. And if you look down in the corner, which I don't even think you can see my cursor, the laptop, the curse of using a laptop, Kanye West was named as the executive producer of this album. But in this article here, you can kind of see that it wasn't really the case that they worked on it together. It was more Kanye lending his name to everything rather than actually having a huge impact on the sound and scope of the album. The one song that they did work on together, Can't Stop, was the one from the album that really took off. I remember when this came out, I was interested because of the hype around All Day and just like going back and being like, oh, who is like Theophilus London? I want to hear more. And Can't Stop was the song that I liked the best from the album without even like realizing that it was the Kanye song. It's just drawn to Kanye things, but the album did not perform well and things got dark for London in the aftermath of it, and he and Kanye kind of had a little bit of falling out in the aftermath of it because I just think London was going through some things. But I think fashion-wise, he's still kind of been in circles, right? He's still friends with Virgil Abloh. I think he still talks with Kanye every now and then. So it is curious getting his perspective on something like this, but we still don't know. As much of a insight as he can give, he's not in the room right now knowing what's going on. So we're all just kind of at a loss. I feel like if anybody's going to have any kind of idea in terms of like the social media people that you can follow, Photos of Kanye will probably have the most like grounded approach to information, where someone like Donda's Place may have a little bit more of the scoops ahead of time. But I feel like Photos of Kanye is going to wait until those things are like ready to come out. So it's kind of like, I don't want to compare Donda's Place to TMZ because I feel like that's like not giving credit to Donda's Place, but just in the sense that like they're going to give you more of the raw data as opposed to like a New York Times that is going to wait and like shape the piece how I think Photos of Kanye might. So great sources of information giving you different perspectives on the information, like where you can hear it at Donda's Place first and then really like wait for Photos of Kanye to like confirm or drop the same information. And I think is meaningful and worth pointing out that Photos of Kanye was the one to post the Theophilus Instagram comment. So there's probably something to be said about that. And then, of course, we're going to be reporting on it. And if I do have any inside information, I can't share it. So I don't at the time. I don't. I tell you that I do but can't, but I don't. I would like to, but I don't. So we'll see what happens. But that's it for this video. Until next time. Oh, if you're enjoying the channel and you want to support us, the easiest way is to like, subscribe, or comment. Those things tell YouTube this is a channel people like, so then they show it to others, which goes a long way in helping us out. And appreciate you all. And it was great seeing so many of you in that stadium today. It was I don't know, it was just very fun. Like, y'all really were a highlight of this trip and absolutely made it a worthwhile time. Regardless of like if the album comes out, and it was great seeing Kanye and seeing the songs, but like that interpersonal dynamic was really amazing. So on behalf of Travis and myself, thank you very much, and stay wavy, you know? Cheers.